Hello guys! Today, let's talk about decluttering, specifically 10 things I don't think you want to do when you're decluttering, things I don't recommend just because they're going to halt your progress, cause you frustration, and keep you from your end goal of a more simplified and functional life. A few of these things you actually may have already heard me mention, but I want to go more in depth today. Hopefully this is really helpful, and leave your ideas as well in the comments. In fact, commenting, liking this video always helps my channel so much, so I really appreciate it and thank you in advance. Let's go ahead and hop right in. Number one, don't burn yourself out in the very beginning. This, I actually, confession, I kind of did this to myself. So speaking from personal experience, don't burn yourself out by doing too many big projects at once or working too many hours in a day or even in a week. It is so much better to go slow and steady. Don't worry so much about the intensity of your declutter, but the consistency. So I did a very large project to start out, which the first project was great. I absolutely loved it. I rehauled my pantry, absolutely motivated myself to keep going. But after that, after about 2 months into this process, I really got tired. I got kind of burned out and I hit a definite slump and a lull because I had been going so hard, so strong for so many weeks. I was just tired. So after I had done my initial big project, which I don't regret, I wish I had taken on smaller projects, things that were a little bit more manageable and reasonable, and just kind of chipped away slowly week after week instead of going absolutely bonkers crazy out of my mind trying to declutter every single day for a long period of time. So there is a little bit of personal experience advice. Don't burn yourself out. Just try and take things a little bit slow and steady. Don't talk yourself into keeping items. This is a hard one because I feel like in a way, we can always justify keeping something. And in the end, we can justify keeping everything because we thought of a way we could use it or remembered a time that we did use it, so we think we might actually use it again in the future. But if you haven't used it in 6 months or more, it might be time to say goodbye. So try and focus on clearing the clutter and actually the space that you're going to be opening up instead of thinking about the individual items that you are saying goodbye to. Number 3, try not to end a decluttering session before you've gotten everything that you've chosen to declutter out of your house, or at least put into a decluttering zone, an area in your house that you've designated that you're not going to be tempted to go and pick through the things that you've already decluttered and unravel all of your work. So what I like to do at the end of a decluttering session is either put it into a hamper or a bin that I have designated as the decluttering zone in my house, or what I've even been doing more recently is just putting it in the back of my car. Once it's full, I drive it straight to the donation center. I actually haven't given myself a lot of time to think about the items that I'm decluttering, and that's something else that I'm going to talk about here in a minute. But just remember, your session's not over until you've actually gotten the things out of your house, or at least tucked away somewhere where you're not going to be tempted by it. Okay, don't declutter other people's stuff. I cannot tell you how tempted I have been to go pillaging through my husband's clothing and getting rid of stuff. As far as the kids' stuff goes, I did do some of the decluttering myself, but I went through, showed the kids, gave them a tour of the things we were keeping, and they were absolutely happy with it, and so we knew we could go ahead and donate the things that I had decluttered. My kids are pretty young, so they definitely need help. But as far as my husband, what you don't want to do is go in there and then just take it over yourself and take it upon yourself to declutter. As frustrated as you might feel and overwhelmed by their things you might get, just try and stay focused on your own items. Worry about your own stuff, and hopefully this will inspire and motivate your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, whatever, to go ahead and declutter their own items. After about 3.5 months of this process, my husband actually did go in on his own and cut his wardrobe significantly. I am so happy. And I just couldn't nag him about it because I didn't think that was fair or very nice. I just kind of let it be, and he went ahead and did it on his own. And now finally, I feel like the closet is where I was kind of hoping it would get, but it had to be in his timing. Don't buy bins and baskets and storage items and units, whatever, until you have fully decluttered. I think one of the stumbling blocks we can run into when we're trying to be more minimal or just declutter in general is that we think if we could just buy more bins and organize all of it, the problem would be solved. But I really don't think it solves the problem at all. It actually just prolongs the problem. And in fact, I feel like if we organize all of our junk and put it in these bins before we've decluttered, I think it just gives us even a subconscious excuse to accumulate more and more because we feel like we've freed up this space when in reality, we've just kind of compacted it. So don't go through and buy new organization bins or whatever until you are happy with the place you are in your decluttering and you know, okay, this is what I'm keeping. I think that is so important. One of the problems, and I hear you guys when you're talking to me in the comments just saying how hard it is and how slow the process is, and yes, this can be hard and this can be very slow. In fact, we already talked about that, how you don't want to burn yourself out. But at the same time, you gotta be ruthless. You have got to go in there with a beast mentality and just not think too much about each item. Whether you break this down into 10-minute tasks or just spend an hour a week, I mean, take it slow in that sense. But when you actually get in there to declutter, I recommend being as ruthless as possible.
I think this is gonna go pretty fast. I feel like the necklaces are gonna be easy. I'm gonna know just within a couple seconds if I want it or not. So let's just do this really quickly and then the jewelry will be done.
Don't get too sentimental over every spoon and spatula. You've got to just be ruthless. Do I use this? Is this something that someone else can benefit from? Chop, chop, get it done. Don't keep things out of guilt. This one is maybe the hardest one of all. And it can be guilt over getting rid of something that somebody gave you, maybe a family member or a friend, or maybe you think, oh my gosh, I spent so much money on this. How can I let it go? Guys, the money is spent, the sentiment was given. But just remember, you can actually feel guilty from keeping things, especially keeping things you know can benefit or bless someone else's life, or keeping things that you are not using in general. Clothes you're not wearing, items you're not, they're not serving you in any way. Every time you see that, you can start to feel guilty. So trying to avoid guilt is almost impossible in a decluttering process. You might feel a little guilty giving something away, but then you might feel guilty keeping it. You've kind of got to expect that you might feel some guilt, and that's okay. Just go ahead and remember that you can't get your money back. The sentiment's already been given. If it means that much to you, take a picture or journal about it and then move on. All right, now let's talk about selling items. Don't spend too much time just trying to sell every little thing. Some people really want to go minimal so that they can make money. They actually need money in their pocket. I love this concept. I think it's amazing. Selling your items, nothing wrong with it. But if you're getting caught up on selling every individual spoon and sock, you will be seriously slowed in your progress. So just be really mindful about the things that you do want to sell, if any, and maybe even set a dollar amount. I'm not going to sell anything that's worth less than $25 or that I can get less than $50 on. I'm only going to sell these items that are worth higher amounts of money and then move on from there. So I personally haven't really sold much at all.
Mama.
It's mommy.
Baby.
It's baby. It's mommy and baby.
Hi.
Hi.
Don't get distracted with memories. There is definitely a time to enjoy sitting down, reminiscing through old keepsakes, but when you're decluttering, that is not the time. You want to focus on getting things out of your house and only keeping the things that are the most valuable. So when you sit down to go through especially sentimental items, don't get trapped going through every journal entry, looking at every single piece of artwork.
This is the bin where we keep all the cute little things the kids have made that we think are really sweet, that we want to keep and remember.
Really stay focused on your decluttering job, and then once that's done, you can really sit down and enjoy all of those things fully. Now, clearly you have to look everything over to decide what you're going to keep, but that's still with the intention of decluttering in mind, not with the intention of going down memory lane. Lastly, don't aim for perfection. This will stress you out so badly, and who can ever reach it? I mean, let's be honest. Don't worry about trying to get the most Pinterest-worthy home or have your house look like a magazine cover. That's just not the goal. I think the goal is to simplify your life, make things easier to maintain so that you have more mental space, capacity, energy, money, freedom, all of those things. So kind of keep that in the forefront of your mind. Just kind of try and go for functionality. If it can be beautiful too, that is awesome. And in some cases, I do recommend investing in the aesthetic of your home. And I do think that that's important, but don't focus so much on that you lose sight of the functionality, and you let the functionality suffer and you let that go for sake of aesthetically pleasing. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Guys, I hope you loved this. I hope you gained some value. Again, it helps me so much to talk with you in the comments, to get a thumbs up. So I would love that feedback and interaction with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.